Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com. One.
And welcome everybody to Sports on Tap. This is the high school football show, high school football recap show presented by Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance in beautiful Hudson, Ohio. You got to hear about his information as well as other sponsors right before the show. Stay tuned for right in the middle of the show. We'll go to our sponsors and we'll list them again at the end of the show. You are watching this live on our YouTube channel, Sports on Tap. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, get the notifications when we're about to go live onto the air. Make sure you follow us on Twitter /X at SOT Podcast. We had a lot of games. Going on last week, and you get the live updates from our X/Twitter page at SOT Podcast. Make sure you follow us on Facebook at Sports on Tap. We're on Threads at SOT_podcasts, and we are also on Spotify at Sports on Tap. Of course, our email address is sportsontap.podcast@gmail.com, and our website, where you're starting to be able to find standings and schedules and results, is at sportsontap.podcast.com. My name is Ed Dick, alongside Rob Troutman, Noah Jacobson, Professor Hype Sean Duffy. Josh Jeffy is out on a very important assignment, similar to the assignment he was on more recently. So he's fighting a good fight. And we'll catch him back again next week. This is the Week 5 high school football recap show. We're going to go through the results of the Southwestern Conference, the Greater Cleveland Conference, the Suburban League, and the Cleveland West Conference. And we're also hoping to be joined by Amherst record-setting quarterback, senior Cole Norris. We're looking to have him join our show at 8:30. He had a record-breaking performance in his game against Berea Mid-Park, which Rob will talk about here shortly. And then we'll go through our games of the week as we normally do. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and at our website. Our Power 10 poll is going to officially be up every week going forward until the end of the regular season. So we got some really, really cool graphics to go with the very boring text that I put together for it. But we have a little bit of shifting in the Power 10 coming up in Week 5. I can tell you that. But other than that, make sure to stay tuned for the rest for that to come out the rest of this week. All right. Well, without further ado, let's get in. I can't believe we're halfway through the season. It just seemed like we were ramping up to this. Like the lead up to the season seemed a lot further away, and it took a lot longer than the season itself. We say this every year, but it just seems to fly by faster. And to kick things off for us, as we normally do, let's go to Rob Troutman to talk about the Southwestern Conference.
All right, thanks, Ed. Appreciate that. And yeah, it was exciting in the Southwestern Conference. What we're going to do is we're going to have our game of the week last, and Sean will tag team that game with me as North Ridgeville traveled to Avon. But first, let's go to Olmsted Falls. They traveled to Elyria, and the Bulldogs, they weren't too happy with their Week 4 loss to North Ridgeville, and it showed against Elyria here. They jumped out to a 35-0 lead by halftime, thanks to scores from quarterback Jimmy Rossell. He scored twice in this game. Logan Connolly scored, Owen Singleton, Brennan Hearns, and Grant Rabernicki scored for the Bulldogs there. They held the Pioneers to 170 yards of total offense. And Olmsted Falls in this game with a big win, 42-0. Olmsted Falls now improves to 4-1 as Elyria falls to 0-5 on the night. Now this next game, you want to talk about scoring. Defense was definitely optional in this game as they scored over 100 points between the two teams in this game. And the Titans of Berea Mid-Park would host Amherst in this game. Amherst undefeated. Berea Mid-Park had a 1-3 record, and the Titans, they would score first, but missed the PAT as their offense, we know they can score. Berea Mid-Park has had many close games this year, so their record really doesn't show how good they are. But Amherst, they would score the next 3 touchdowns, and they led in this one 20-7 before Berea Mid-Park would come back and actually tie this game at 20. And then the Comets, they would strike again, and it was wide receiver Cale Charles. He would catch a 12-yard pass from quarterback Cole Norris. It was 27-20 at half. Amherst would lead. Amherst offense, they really couldn't be stopped in this game. 505 yards of total offense in this game. And I want to give credit to the Chronicle Telegram. They have great write-ups and really good stats. I get them a lot from the coaches in emails, but when I don't get certain stats, I go there to look for statistics and individual stats. And the stats were just eye-popping in this game. 505 yards of total offense for Amherst. And this guy, and our guest coming up at 8:30, quarterback Cole Norris, he accounted for 6 touchdowns in this game, 3 passing, 3 rushing touchdowns. Norris in this game, and you don't see this too often, 346 yards passing. He rushed for another 95 yards. Amherst was up 60-34 before the Titans would score once more. The Comets stay undefeated with a 60-41 win over Berea Mid-Park. Amherst now 5-0 on the year as Berea Mid-Park. They fall to 1-4. All right, Midview. They traveled to Avon Lake, a tough place to play. But this game, it looked like it could get out of hand pretty early as Midview. They jumped out to a 17-3 lead in this game. And Avon Lake, that score would finally score with a 35-yard field goal from Reese Palomoski. Midview, they scored 17 unanswered with scores by Midview scored 17 unanswered with Michael Passarello Jr., Dior Jones, and Ethan Morris. It was 17-3 at halftime in this game. Midview led. And Avon Lake, they know they've gotten down in games this year, but they never give up. And whatever Coach Matt Kostelnik said to his Shoreman at halftime, they came out once again and were the comeback kids in this game. Shoreman quarterback Owen Fock connected on a 54-yard pass to wide receiver Michael Summerfield. Running back Anthony Benedict would run it in from 2 yards out. All of a sudden, after 3 quarters of play, the score was tied up, and Avon Lake came out at halftime and scored 14 unanswered. Only one more score in this game, and it was a difference maker. Running back Anthony Benedict for Avon Lake would score again, run it in for a touchdown, and Avon Lake, who trailed 17-3 in this game, gets the Southwestern Conference win 24-17, handing Midview another loss. They're 3-2. Avon Lake, back-to-back weeks with big comebacks, and they get the 24-17 win. They improve to 3-2. Now, Sean can help me on this. He was at this game, and it was North Ridgeville versus Avon. And, North Ridgeville coming off a huge win against Olmsted Falls, and they looked dominating in that game. So coming out in this game, I thought this game could be close. And both teams, they came out playing Avon and showed that they were still up at the top of the SWC. They started off, Sean, with an Owen Warwick 42-yard field goal, and it was only 3-0 after one quarter.
Yeah, and this was billed going into this as the battle of the top 2 teams in the Southwestern Conference. And I'll be very honest with you, Avon did not take kindly to being considered as not just the only top team in the Southwestern Conference, as they really did impose their will. From a standpoint, they did a little slow to get started offensively, but defensively, they were shutting down North Ridgeville. They were shutting down Cole Miller and Charlie Steinmetz. Wherever those 2 guys were, obviously Cole Miller's the quarterback and Steinmetz a receiver / running back. They had at least 1 or 2 sets of eyes on him because those 2 guys can really break open and have broken games open for North Ridgeville going in. But, the story of the night for me was the play of Nolan Good from Avon. This guy here had 3 touchdowns passes on the night, and all 3 of them were beauties. If you want to see them, go ahead and take a look at our Spotlight Game highlight reel that's on YouTube right now. Rob's doing a great job of playing that, but he had touchdown passes to Grant Barr, his favorite target, Matt Maxey, and a beautiful 50-yard touchdown pass to Jacoby Weatherspoon. And that's not all they did. I mean, on the ground, they were very conservative, but they were also very, very consistent. And they finally broke one when Quinante Smith broke a 27-yard rushing touchdown in the third quarter. Now, in the third quarter is where North Ridgeville did actually score some points, and it really was more of a busted coverage play, a short pass to Charlie Steinmetz, and he took it all the way for 51 yards for the only score that North Ridgeville would find as Avon just blew the doors off of North Ridgeville, 38-7. I got a chance to catch up with Coach Elder, who was celebrating the win and a birthday. I didn't have the courage to ask how old he is. He's a very youthful guy. He's got a lot of energy, so I'm sure he's probably in his late 30s to early 40s. But he had nothing but praise for his offensive line, his defense. Obviously, his defense is really good up front. The front seven was in the backfield all night for the Eagles, and the corners. A lot of times what will happen is, especially when you have a team like North Ridgeville, they're going to spy on a guy like Charlie Steinmetz and really make sure they have all the opportunity to stop him. But they really did there wasn't any sort of bracketing coverage. There was some safety help there, but it really was one-on-one. And I think a lot of the Avon secondary guys, whoever was assigned to guard them, and it was rotating. At some points it was Jacob Witherspoon. And then at other points it was other guys in that defensive backfield. Whoever was lined up on Charlie Steinmetz, they made it their mission to ensure that he didn't break one open. He did finally break one open. He did get a score in the night, but it was kind of a busted coverage, one of those pick plays, a slant pattern, and again, Charlie Steinmetz is a great player. He's going to make plays, and when you have that happen, it's how you respond, right? And Avon responded both offensively and defensively after that, limiting the amount of opportunities that North Ridgeville had, and really racking up the points in the second half. On the flip side, North Ridgeville, whether it was the Avon defense, them really kind of amped up. They hung in there, in, like Rob said, in the first quarter, but it was tough for them to get any sort of momentum. And they, whether it was penalties or missed opportunities, drop passes, things of that nature, just North Ridgeville was not, up to the task to beat a team like Avon. And again, there's not many teams in the area clearly going into this season that have been able to beat or been close to beat. I mean, Glenville was close, and I believe, who did they play the second week, Ed, if you can help me out?
Canton McKinley, I know, was in.
Canton McKinley.
They had Ignatius, McKinley, and Glenville as their
Right.
non-conference.
Right, and those are those are three great schools that they play. So they come into conference play. Obviously, last week they take care of business with Elyria, but then they also, they amped up for this game. And I gotta say, whenever I get to cover an Avon game, it's always fun because it's close to my house, and I always forget what kind of an atmosphere is there at Avon. Man, they really do put on a show. They had the black jerseys on that night, and they were really, it was their Hall of Fame weekend. They did a great job, but Avon was just too much for North Ridgeville, and North Ridgeville is one of those teams that's trending in the right direction. But again, we talk about this all the time. All roads at this point lead through Avon in this conference, and until Avon is dethroned, and I know Avon Lakes is always there, and Olmsted Falls is always there, but North Ridgeville has the talent, and I think they need to take that next step. But Avon is a bigger mountain to climb than most people. That program, start to finish, top to bottom, is good, and they have good players. They have a great community support behind them, and they have probably one of the best coaches in the area in Mike Elder, and he was nice enough to sit down and talk with me quickly after that. He's kind of looking to get out of there, but thanks to him for taking a minute and talking with me. But it was a fun night, Rob, and obviously Avon does what Avon does. They take care of business at home. I'll let you kind of go over the stats, because I kind of was trying to keep stats, but unfortunately, once they go up 30 points since the running clock, you really stop paying attention to stats at that point, because the game is well in hand.
Well, yeah, and it was 24-0 at halftime, but looking at both teams, I think they wore North Ridgeville out a little bit. Nolan Good, he was 12 of 16 for 191 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also was my Southwestern Conference Player of the Week. He also rushed for 18 yards, and to me, the numbers might not sound, like, oh my gosh, Cole Norris of Amherst, 6 touchdowns, but the 3 touchdowns and 12 of 16, he did what he had to do, and he's always a leader for that Avon team, and he always gets that offense rolling. North Ridgeville is a really good team. They just don't have the depth that Avon has. Avon has a lot of depth on their team. and they can rotate players in and out. They have 2 or 3 running backs that go in there. They have multiple wide receivers that are dangerous and that spread the field. Their offensive line, from the video, it looked like they controlled the line of scrimmage, which previously was Olmsted Falls. When North Ridgeville played Olmsted Falls, it was North Ridgeville dominating both sides of the line of scrimmage. So I thought in this game, there was a 56-yard pass, Cole Miller to Charlie Steinmetz that you mentioned was impressive. So they did get on the board, but just the big plays by Avon were just too much, and I think they wore down North Ridgeville. But give Avon credit, man. They continue to dominate in the Southwestern Conference, and they'll get right back at it this week, as I believe they host or they play Olmsted Falls.
Yeah, they traveled to Olmsted Falls, and that was the thing. It was impressive. I got an opportunity to sit in their post-game huddle, and they celebrated this win and obviously everything going on, but it was that night they turned the page and said, all right, we got to go beat Olmsted Falls. We got the Bulldogs next week. So it speaks to the mindset of every team in the Southwestern Conference, but particularly to Avon, where look, they understand that the assignment is, to win every single week. And they've been doing it so long that, it's one of those things where they kind of just flip that switch. I will, double up on what you said there about, Nolan Good. I mean, things weren't kind of going well in the first quarter, and they were kind of sputtering a little bit. He really did kind of bring his troops together a little bit and say, hey guys, we need to get this going. It wasn't, I didn't see any coaches around there. I didn't see any, rah-rah from, there was some coaches looking at film, but he went to each one of his guys and said, we got this. We got this. And that speaks volumes to what you want in a player. And I think that's, what we're seeing from this Avon team is they're led from the top with obviously Coach Elder, but also in the prime positions, wide receiver, quarterback, running back. Again, they have their offensive line's coming along. Their defense is, I don't see a lot of teams running or throwing against them. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play out the rest of the year, but definitely a fun game to cover last week. Rob, what's on tap for week 6 in the Southwestern Conference?
Yeah, week 6 looks like this. Avon Lake travels to Amherst. It's Avon taking on Olmsted Falls. Berea Mid-Park traveling to Midview, and that's a rivalry game there. Elyria taking on North Ridgeville. Another game that let's see how North Ridgeville bounces back. So some really good games there in the Southwestern Conference.
Yeah, absolutely, Rob. Great job, Sean and Rob, tag teaming the Avon North Ridgeville game, and of course with the Southwestern Conference. Rob, as always, this will be Avon's first true road game this week. We'll go into another opponent's stadium. They had the game against Ignatius was at Cleveland Brown Stadium. It was a neutral site game, not considered an away game. So this will be the first time they go to an opposing team stadium, and it's Olmsted Falls, no less, a team that they're quite familiar with. I'm interested in seeing how Amherst is gonna how Amherst is gonna respond to Avon Lake here. Avon Lake the last 2 weeks they've kind of risen from the dead in the second half, and they've been able to get some last second victories. Can they afford to get down that much against a player of the caliber of Cole Norris? I don't know. I know Coach Kostelnik. No, I don't think Coach Kostelnik really wants to. A win is a win. We'll all say that, but I think he'd rather not have to have a comeback if he has anything to say about it there.
And I'm going to guess that Avon Lake does not want to get an offensive shootout with Amherst. They have some injuries. I wonder if any of their starters are coming back this week, as I know that they might be trending in the right direction. But Amherst is a team that puts up a lot of points, and Avon Lake is a team that probably would like to keep the score down, at a 24-17 game. So let's see if Avon Lake's defense can figure out Cole Norris and J.R. Byers this week.
Absolutely. All right, Rob, great job on the Southwestern Conference as always. So let's shift over to the Greater Cleveland Conference. Dr. Hoops himself, Noah Jacobson, is going to go over the Greater Cleveland Conference. Take it away.
All right, well, thank you, Ed. And begin with this game that was originally supposed to be played on Friday night, but this one was a Thursday night affair, as my Medina Bees were taking on Ed, Josh, and Rob's Brunswick Blue Devils in this game, and this was the Tom Fasco Grinding Class, and this game did not miss a beat. What a great game this was. And went into overtime for the first time. You don't see that very too often between our two rivals here. But Brunswick finally get the Tom Fasco Grinding Classic trophy on this one, as they would take a 27-21 win in overtime. Brunswick quarterback Sean Barnett was 15-26 for 181 yards. Brunswick running back Eli Nichols had a touchdown in this game. Brunswick running back Cooper Neal had 10 carries for 66 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also did have the game-winning touchdown in overtime to seal the deal for the win. Wide receiver Cohen Eastside had 4 catches for 61 yards. Medina quarterback Casey Diallo was 10 of 27 for 85 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Brian Wutcher had 4 catches for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Brunswick linebacker Colin Kavulik had a pick 6 in this game. Medina running back Cooper Josefic had 13 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown, which really led Medina to 14-7 in this game. But the biggest story for Medina was because they had a backup quarterback named Beckett Brogan had to come into the game with 128 left to go in the game. And he threw an 80-yard touchdown pass to Brian Woodcher to tie the game at 21 apiece when Casey Diallo was benched after throwing 3 interceptions. You don't see that happen too often, and an 80-yard touchdown would really seal the deal to tie the game at 21 apiece. But really, it was Brunswick who would get this one done in overtime, 27-21 over Medina. That would give Cole Carter his first win as head coach of the Brunswick Blue Devils. Congratulations to him on his first victory, as Brunswick will move on to 1-4, 1-1 in conference play. Medina drops to 1-4 also, 0-2 in conference play. And then moving on to the next game. Shaker Heights was traveling to Benedictine in this game. And a game was played in this one, as Benedictine would take this one 39-7 over Shaker Heights. Quinn Malone, though, had a 79-yard touchdown pass to Cornell Beard, but Benedictine was able to get this win 39-7, as the Bengals will move on to 4-1. Shaker Heights drops to 2-3. And then moving on, Strunsville was traveling down to Euclid, and another game was played. And to start off the game for Strunsville, Austin Atkins had a 36-yard pick 6 to begin the game. And then Storm Miller had a 15-yard touchdown. Running back Sam DeMonke had a 4-yard touchdown. And then Nolan Beard had the touchdown pass to Austin Miller for 19 yards. And then Connor Jerry had a fumble recovery for a touchdown. And then Tofek Derry had a 15-yard touchdown. But really give credit to Strunsville's defense. They really had 4 turnovers to seal the deal in this game against Euclid to preserve a 49-0 shutout over the Euclid Panthers. Strunsville moves to 2-3, 1-0 in conference play. Euclid drops to 2-3, 1-1 in conference play. And then this was really a game of the week in the GCC. The Cleveland Heights Tigers were traveling to Menard to take on the Cardinals, and this was a game that was in a double overtime last year, but Menard would get their revenge in this one as they would get a 35-27 win over Cleveland Heights. Quarterback Scotty Fox for Menard was 16-23 for 266 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also did have 6 carries for 37 yards and a touchdown. Running back Jackson Farley had 23 carries for 149 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also did have a receiving touchdown in this game. And then Menard, they would get 3 of their first 4 drives into touchdown in the first half, totaling 213 yards. What an impressive offense for Menard so far. And then for Cleveland Heights, Marquise Theodore Davis, he was back from injury after missing several weeks due to his injury. And what a debut to come back. He had 32 carries for 339 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had runs of 80, 50, 23, and 23 yards. And he also did have a 26-yard receiving score in this game. What a welcome back for Marquise Davis after an injury. And then Amir Atkins had a touchdown for Cleveland Heights. And give Cleveland Heights a lot of credit, even though they lost in this one. They accounted for 450 total yards, and they also had 411 rushing yards in this one. but the job was not enough as Menor would get their revenge in this game as they would beat the Tigers 35-27. Menor stays undefeated at 5-0. They go to 2-0 in conference play. Cleveland Heights drops to 2-3, 1-1 in conference play. And then moving forward in our Greater Cleveland Conference, Week 6 schedule already. Brunswick will be traveling to Shaker Heights. Cleveland Heights will be traveling to Strongville. Medina will be traveling to Euclid. And River Ranch in Michigan will be traveling to Menor. The Greater Cleveland Conference, Week 5, Player of the Week is Cleveland Heights running back Marquise Davis. He had 32 carries for 339 yards and 2 touchdowns and a receiving touchdown in this game. But what a great performance from him coming back from an injury, even though they didn't get the loss, as he had a great performance in this game for my GCC Player of the Week. And that is the Week 5 recap of the Greater Cleveland Conference and the Week 6 schedule in the Greater Cleveland Conference.
Hey, Noah, great job there. I can tell you, it's great to see Marquise Davis back on the field and doing what he does. We've been used to seeing him dominate for the last few years, and the last few weeks he hasn't been able to contribute as much as he's wanted to, because he hasn't been healthy. And we saw in Menor, more importantly, Menor saw firsthand what a healthy Marquise Davis can do. This year, they happen to have the firepower to counteract that. Obviously with Scotty Fox and his core of receivers there. Menor right now, I mean, they're taking away the conference aspect of it. They're 3 games clear of everybody in the conference right now. Just straight looking at overall records, and arguably their 2 toughest teams that they've had to deal with the last few years. They've beaten them in Medina and Cleveland Heights. Not to say that some of these other teams can't give them a game, because that's certainly not the case. But Menor is they're on right now. They're operating on a whole nother level than that of the rest of the conference. Noah.
Yeah, definitely, and that's been the play of Scotty Fox. I mean, what a great year he's having to do his senior year, and his running back Jackson Farley and his 2 wide receivers. I said it before the season, the dynamic duo of Justin Hodge and Austin Van Huss. And give Menor's defense a whole lot of credit of how they pursued Marquise Davis in this game, only giving up 339 rushing yards. I mean, you don't see that too often when you have a running back you're facing once again. But give Menor's defense a whole lot of credit for really sticking in this game against Cleveland Heights.
Yeah, when you hold a player to under 300 to just 330 yards. That's almost absurd to say and think about, but that's we know that Marquise Davis can bust out at any moment in time there. Okay, all right, let's explain this. All right, so Eddie has a book called "I Need a New Butt."
Oh, man,
it's fart noises. There's a game that goes along with this that his aunt got him.
Free plug right there.
Yeah. Now we got fart noises going on here.
Sure, Ed.
Good
cover.
Only the classics in literature at the Dick household.
You got that right. Hey, listen, we'd be remiss to not obviously not congratulate Coach Carter and the Brunswick Blue Devils.
Absolutely.
It's been a long time. It's been a rough year so far, and obviously all the hijinks that went on in the Cleveland Heights game. You could tell that they just needed a break to go their way, and with all due respect to Medina, this is one that Brunswick needed to have just as much as they did, and you think that with the schedule coming up, Shaker Heights, Euclid, those games are not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. But having played Cleveland Heights very tough, defeating Medina, and they can build some momentum up before they take on a very tough stretch with Mentor and Walsh Jesuit. Luckily, they both come to Brunswick, but that really hasn't stopped Mentor from demolishing teams. They have no problem going on the road and taking care of business. And Walsh they're on a roll right now too. And obviously the big rivalry game against the Ville later in the season. All right, Noah, great job on the Greater Cleveland Conference as always. We are going to shift over to the Suburban League. You got the Natty and the American conferences going there with Josh out on assignment. This is going to be the Sean Duffy power 20 minutes or however long it's going to take him to get through it. And so take a deep breath and get ready for it, Sean. Here we go. The Suburban League with Sean Duffy.
Well, thank you, Ed. And as always, here to help out the team. I'm doing double duty. I'm handling both the National and the America division. So let's jump right into it, starting with the National, the Natty division, as I've been instructed to call it. As we start with Hudson hosting Twinsburg. And guys, has Hudson found their stride? Winners of 3 straight, led by running back and SOT guest Reno Furry, who rushed for a game-high 136 yards and 3 touchdowns in a 35-0 victory over Twinsburg. Quarterback Nathan Judy for the Explorers was 7 of 10 passing with 85 yards and 2 interceptions, but he also added 77 yards on the ground and a touchdown of his own. Louis Casternian led the Explorers with 3 receptions for 30 yards, and he also was a leader on defense with 2 picks in the game. For the Tigers, quarterback Joey Pollock returned to action for the struggling Tigers, and he did go 11 of 24 for 115 yards, but he did throw an interception in the game. Since their Week 2 win over Copley, guys, Twinsburg has only scored 10 points while giving up 90 to the opposing teams. That's not a recipe for success. As Hudson improves to 3-2. They are 2-0 in the conference with a 35-0 victory over Twinsburg. Twinsburg falls to 2-3. They are 0-2 in the Natty. Next up on the show, we have Nordonia traveling in to take on North Royalton, and the Knights continue to keep it rolling with another solid effort led by their running game. They rushed for 218 yards as a team, and they were led by Rocco DiLorenzo, who ran for 57 yards on 10 carries and scoring 2 touchdowns. Ben Chesser added 55 yards on the ground, in addition to being 9 of 14 for 131 yards and a touchdown to Owen Smotek. Kylan Osbe, Liam Counts, and Josh Shell also scored for the Knights in this game as they get a 46-13 victory. For the Bears, Joey Kinney went 6 of 19 with 153 yards and 2 picks. They did rush for 121 yards as a team, scoring 2 touchdowns. The Bears were 1 of 10 on third down in this game, also not a recipe for success. Again, the final score in this one, Nordonia 46, North Royalton 13. Nordonia improves to 5-0. They are 2-0 in the Natty, whereas North Royalton falls to 1-4, and they are 1-1 in conference play. Wadsworth traveled to Brecksville to take on the Bees of Brecksville. And that's about all we can say about the Brecksville Bees, as the Grizzlies came out running the ball and didn't stop until they got on the bus. Gavin Madigan and Cooper Gregg both combined for 338 yards total and 7 touchdowns in this game. It was on the ground, and they were not putting this through the air. Madigan totaled 156 yards with 4 touchdowns. Gray, 124 yards with 3 touchdowns. 1 week after throwing for 327 yards, Bryson Hall was an efficient 14 of 20 with 169 yards and a touchdown pass to Jack McNeil. Kicker Ryan Dinwiddie moved into first place in Medina County history for career extra points with 156. Jacob Edervich led the Bees with 109 yards rushing and to score. 80 yards came on 1 play. Nate Henniger was 6 of 13 with 110 yards. He had a touchdown pass to Max Ritter, but it wasn't enough as Wadsworth rolls over the Bees of Brecksville 56-14. Wadsworth is 5-0. They are 2-0 in the Natty. Brecksville 0-5, 0-2 in the conference. They will look to get back on track next week. Stowe versus Solon. Guys, this was a classic. The Bulldogs were up 21-7 going into the fourth quarter, but Solon scored twice but missed an extra point and failed on a 2-point conversion, which proved to be the difference in this game as Stowe outlasts Solon 21-19. Stowe quarterback Jake Harrington was the workhorse, completing 10 of 15 passes for 138 yards and rushing for 119 yards with 2 total touchdowns. That's a lot of work. Nick Hosey caught the Harrington touchdown pass, while Ryan Lucardi added a third TD for Stowe. For Solon, A.J. Jefferson scored on a 27-yard run in the first quarter. He later added a 2-yard score in the fourth, but the failed 2-point conversion and unsuccessful onside kick attempt ended Solon's chances. Quarterback Jack Sanders also scored on a 6-yard run for the Comets, but it wasn't enough, guys, as the Stowe Monroe Fall Bulldogs outlast the Solon Comets 21-19. Stowe improves to 2-3. They are 1-1 in the conference. Solon falls to 2-3. They are 0-2 in the conference. Moving on to the America division. As we switch gears here, we'll start with Aurora versus Copley, and Aurora continued its undefeated season with a dominating 42-12 victory over Copley in week 5. Aurora running back Lucas Manderback had 10 carries for 92 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Aurora running back Xavier Board had 13 carries, 91 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Aurora wide receiver Ben Lukasik had a touchdown reception in this game. Copley was able to score in this, but Copley's running back Tony Cox did have a rushing touchdown. And Copley quarterback Gabe Manziel had 1 passing touchdown to Scooby Stanford. Aurora's defense held Copley to 30 yards total in this rushing in this game. And that, if you take that away from Copley, the rushing game away from Copley, they really don't have a lot behind that, as Copley falls to Aurora 49-12. Aurora 5-0, 2-0 in the America division. Copley 1-4. They are 0-2 in the conference. Barberton gets off the schneid with a 17-30 victory over the Kent Roosevelt Rough Riders in week 5. Magic's running back Sam Wright had 2 rushing touchdowns in the win, and Magic's kicker Blake Leary would also lend a hand with a field goal late in the game to put the game really out of reach. Kent Roosevelt only managed 3 points in the game, as Barberton's defense was able to hem in a very, very potent Rough Riders defense, as we saw last week against Cuyahoga Falls. Again, Barberton wins 17-3. Barberton is 1-4. They are 1-1 in the conference. Kent Roosevelt falls to 2-3. They are 1-1 in the conference as well. Revere traveling to take on Cuyahoga Falls, looking to put the defeat from Aurora last week in week 4 out of their minds. They did so with a dominating 49-0 victory over the Black Tigers. Revere running back Roman Klein had 2 rushing touchdowns on the night. Revere quarterback Luke Ferris, he had a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. Revere's Nicholas Hall did haul in 2 touchdown passes, one of those from Luke Ferris, the other from the backups that did get a lot of playing time in this game. Revere's defense held Cuyahoga Falls to no points in this game. It's their second shutout of the season. Revere gets back on the winning train with a 49-0 victory. They improved to 4-1. They are 1-1 in the conference. Cuyahoga Falls falls to 2-3. They are 0-2 in the conference. Guys, our second spotlight game of the week came when Josh took the old jalopy down to Talmadge and wanted to see a competitive football game. That he did not see, as the one word he had to describe this game was Highland versus Talmadge, and it was shocking, as the Hornets came out on fire and never looked back. The Hornets scored 21 points in the first quarter and 21 points in the second quarter. That was all the points that needed to be scored for the entirety of the game, as the final score was 49-0. Guys, you notice a trend that 49 is a very popular number in the American division. And with the exception of the Barberton Kent Roosevelt score, each of the winning teams were 1, road teams, 2, scored 49 points.
I almost mentioned that to you. I'm like, there must have been something going on in the suburban.
Yeah, it must have been.
Suburban
49.
American
They must have been playing
three teams.
less. But guys, yeah. But Highland, known for their running game, did their damage through the air, led by quarterback Dylan Borland. He finished the game 10 of 14 with 282 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also kicked in for a rushing touchdown. Casey Miser, the perennial weekly, this guy could be a player of the week nominee every single week. And believe me, it's a discussion that Josh and I have pretty much every week is, what did Casey Miser do, and can we put something else? And let me tell you this right now, we're starting to run out of reasons not to give Casey Miser his flowers. But he did run the ball 8 times for 36 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had a touchdown reception of 54 yards and 51 yards. Luke Berkmeyer also had a 65-yard touchdown reception. Evan Faust finished the game scoring with a 3-yard touchdown just before the end of the first half. The Blue Devils actually ran 2 more plays on offense than Highland, but only could gain a total of 156 yards total in the game. So that speaks highly to Highland's defense. Quarterback Ryan Lovelace was fighting an uphill battle against the Hornets. He completed the game 10 of 18 for 108 yards and an interception. But guys, we talk about that Highland defense, 5 sacks on the night for the Highland defense. I mean, that's fantastic. The front 7 for that Highland defense is no joke. Robbie Reed led Talmadge with 3 receptions for 32 yards. Darren Clark led Talmadge in rushing with 20 yards and 3 attempts. But, guys, it just wasn't enough. They ran into Highland. Highland's a buzzsaw. As Highland improves to 5-0, they are 2-0 in the conference. Talmadge, it falls to 3-2. I believe they are 1-1 in the conference as they fall 49-0 in our Spotlight Game of the Week. The Suburban League Player of the Week nominee, we did have a discussion. Josh and I did have a discussion. We decided to give it to Highland quarterback Dylan Borla, 10 of 14, 282 yards. Yes, 3 touchdowns overall, 2 pass, 1 rushing touchdown. Congratulations to Dylan Borla. Again, you know, that Highland team, this is setting up for a fantastic, if all things play out, a fantastic matchup in Week 10 between Aurora and Highland. But before we get there, let's go back and see what we have on tap for the Suburban League in Week 6. For the National League, for the Natty, I've been told to say that. The Bees travel to take on Stowe Monroe Falls. Hudson travels in to take on Wadsworth. Twinsburg will travel to take on Nordonia. And this week we have 2 non-conference games in the Natty Division. North Royalton travels to take on Padua. Solon will travel to take on Warren Harding. For the America Division, let's go here. We have Aurora traveling to continue their winning streak against Cuyahoga Falls. Highland, again, to continue their winning streak against Barberton. Copley travels to Kent Roosevelt, and Revere and Talmadge will lock horns in Week 6. Guys, that's all I got. That's all I can talk about in the Suburban League. I'm running out. I got papers everywhere.
Wait, you're not doing. You're not doing the Cleveland West.
Listen.
Just do it all.
I could do it. I could do it all. You're right. I could. I could do it all. But no, that's all I got for the Suburban League,
nice.
And I'm happy to do it because Josh is, as Ed mentioned, Josh is out fighting the good fight.
That's right.
But he needs to get back and pick up some of his slack.
Sean needs a glass of milk right now.
No kidding.
The work he put in, maybe some chocolate milk, as how he used to refer to some workhorse players in years past. The Natty, right now the Natty, Hudson, as you mentioned, they're sneaking up. They're starting to put it together, win some games. Reno Ferry has been an absolute monster. Maybe coincidentally, since he's been on our show, I really doubt that, being that he's a coach's son. He's a coach's son. He's been around football his whole life, and I don't think it's a surprise that even as a sophomore, he's making the impact that he is. But we're starting to get back to the point where Hudson, Nordonia, and Wadsworth are the class of the Natty. On the opposite side, where Sean resides, Aurora and Highland. That's all roads are leading to that game to determine that conference championship. And even beyond that, though, there's some good periphery. There's some good secondary games there. I don't really call them secondary, just as from a tier perspective. Take, for example, Revere and Talmadge. We'll see how good Revere is against a Talmadge team that's given them fits over the last few years. Revere's been building the momentum. They snuck into the playoffs last year, and now they're able. We'll see if they're able to. You going to bed? Yeah. Okay. Good night, Lord.
Yeah, and to pick up right on that, you're right. I think if you look at, obviously, from the American division, you look at the best game or the most intriguing game this week, I think you're right there. Revere versus Talmadge. Those two teams are that next rung down from Highland and Aurora, which really Highland and Aurora are the two runaway teams, and those two are on a collision course coming in week 10, and unless something crazy happens, and again it could, because that's how the American sets up. I think the Natty is actually one of the more interesting conferences, because there's legitimately 3, possibly 4 teams that could be right there. We're only 2 weeks into the conference play, and right now Wadsworth, Nordonia, really good teams, top tier teams. But Hudson may have found something here, and you may not want to give us credit, but I'm going to take all the credit we can get. Since Reno Ferry's been on Sports on Tap, the Hudson Explorers have won every game.
You're welcome.
Until proved otherwise, you're not going to convince me that we don't have something to do with it. I'm not saying we're running the ball with the kid. I'm not saying we're out there calling plays. All I'm saying is the magic dust that we give to our interviewees has fallen on the Hudson Explorers, and I think we as everyone is benefiting from that, because now this makes that conference a lot more interesting. Obviously, you have Solon in there too. Don't forget about Solon. And those are good teams. And it's going to be really interesting, because last year we saw the same thing. I don't think anybody finished undefeated coming out of the Natty, in conference play at least. It was pretty or undefeated coming out of that. But it sets up for a very interesting stretch run for the Suburban League, the National Division, but also I think on the flip side for the American Division, it sets up that, okay, are we going to get 2 teams in Aurora and Highland that are undefeated, like it did last year, coming down for the championship, whoever winner take all, and Highland and Barberton, or Highland and Aurora, are pretty much in the top tier of their respective regions, playoff wise. So there's so much talent right now in the Suburban League, and there's so many different kind of scenarios that can happen that it's fun to watch. But again, I'm going to, as a spokesman of Sports on Tap, as Professor Hype, I'm going to take all the credit and say that without us interviewing Reno Ferry on 2-3 weeks ago, the Hudson Explorers have been undefeated, and that's only because we're there. And I think that all the coaching staff and everyone would agree with that we give the good, again, having nothing to do with their actual performance. I'm not saying we did anything. I'm just saying we sprinkled the dust. Yeah, the dust.
You can send all your commentary care of Sports on Tap podcast at gmail.com, care of Professor Hype Sean Duffy. He'll answer.
You can't, because all my stuff there gets rerouted to Rob, because Rob takes care of all that stuff. So
I'll make sure to forward it to you. I
don't see any of my hate or fan mail.
sduffy@hotmail.com. Is that right? You're still using Hotmail, I think.
I don't know. You can send it there, but listen, I don't read my fan mail or my hate mail. You can hate me all you want. You can love me all you want. You're gonna, that's what happens.
Not really his
that's
email
all I got,
for
guys.
Everybody out there. But let's send it to Ed.
Yeah,
send it to Ed. Yeah, let's send it to Ed.
Send it back to myself. Yes. I'll leave the Natty on one note. Wadsworth right now, they are, they're a very good team. They've blown everybody out. They averaged over 40 points a game, climbing up to that 50-point range. They have Hudson and Nordonia the next 2 weeks. So you figure if they get by those 2 teams, it's setting up for a favorable ending to potentially go 10-0. They've had the bogey of Medina the last few years, and they finally solved them this year. Right now, they're a little bit lower in the Joe Idle ratings for Division 2, Region 6, and that's only because they're not getting a whole lot of help from their beaten opponents yet. There's still a lot of season left, and there's some points to be had, especially with Hudson and Nordonia coming up. We'll certainly start getting into the playoff talk here in the coming weeks, because that's going to be a whole another part of the show that we can offer that not anybody else can. So we'll get with the computer rankings here in short order. So without further ado, let's shift over now to the Cleveland West Conference, and we had We had some good games here. Let's start first with Buckeye taking on Bay, and Buckeye's defense. They were in top form against the Rockets. They got 6 sacks on the Rockets quarterbacks, 3 by Maroom and Kretler. He also had a fumble recovery and a 6-yard touchdown run, 2 fumble recoveries from Landon Porak, and half sacks by Ryan Wilhelm and Trey Weidenmeyer. Daniel Beckett got a fumble recovery on the offensive end. Last week's Player of the Week nominee for the Cleveland West Conference, Buckeye senior running back Troy McCann. He had 22 rushes for 102 yards and a touchdown. Junior quarterback Turner Delata, he completed 5 of 10 passing for 98 yards and a touchdown. Senior wide receiver Trey Weidenmeyer, as I mentioned, usually when he catches the ball, it's going to be for a touchdown. Not as efficient this week. He had 2 catches for 58 yards and just 1 touchdown, but he also played tough defensively on defense. Scott DeMarco added a 27-yard field goal for the Bucks. On the base side of things, senior quarterback Michael Farrell, he was 7 of 14 passing for just 39 yards. Bay junior running back Rocco Hereditario, 14 rushes for 81 yards. I think he was just nullified by the offense and the defense. I mean, it's just this is probably one of the most complete defensive games that Buckeye has played all year long, and it came against a pretty good opponent. Bay's Cooper Baraxis, he had 4 catches for 35 yards. But add that all up, and it is a 31-0 victory, Buckeye over Bay. Lots of credit goes to the Medina County Gazette for their coverage of high school football, specifically for Medina County. So appreciate that. We'll shout them out for the stats here. With the win, Buckeye improves to 4-1 overall. They are 2-0 in conference play. Bay drops to 2-3 overall. They are 0-2 in conference play. All right, Rocky River and Lakewood. This was the installment of the Battle of the Bridge, and this started great for Lakewood. Senior quarterback Avery Holt found senior wide receiver Jalen Chappell for a 65-yard touchdown. The Rangers forced and recovered a fumble on the ensuing kickoff, and that was followed up by a touchdown run by Chappell. The Pirates, though, they countered with touchdown runs of 25, 6, and 1 yard by junior quarterback Ryan Taylor. Those are set up by 2 defensive stops and a long punt return by Orrin Grieve. But the Rangers didn't go away. They had a 33-yard touchdown pass from Holt to Chappell to cut the Pirates' lead to 21-20. But right before the half, the Pirates got a block punt by Dowd Ashley, followed by a touchdown pass from Josh Mammers to Orrin Grieve to go up 28-20. And then in the second half, it was all Pirates for the majority of it. And Taylor got his 4th touchdown run of the night, followed by a 14-yard touchdown run by Cam Bolkowski. Avery Holt finished the scoring with another ground score to make up the final tally of 42-27. Rocky River gets the win over Lakewood. Ryan Taylor, junior quarterback, he had 10 of 18 passing for 131 yards and 4 touchdowns. He also rushed 9 times for 69 yards and a touchdown. Tell you what, he is picking up where Julian Patty left off. That's for sure for Rocky River. With the win, the Pirates improved to 4-1 overall. They are 2-0 in conference play. Lakewood, there she is. Lakewood drops to 3-2 overall. They are 1-1 in conference play. All right, North Olmsted took on Normandy, and this was a game I was really interested in because North Olmsted has been playing tough defensively, and they've just been waiting to get it going on the offensive end. And Normandy has had a very good start to the season, all things considered. And I wanted to see if they'd be able to build off that win over Bay last week. But the Eagles got an early interception, and they capitalized with a 73-yard touchdown pass from senior quarterback Tommy Horsfall to wide receiver Michael Passafiumi. Horsfall then followed that up with a 52-yard touchdown run to give the Eagles a 14-0 lead. Normandy quarterback senior Elijah Gray countered with a 29-yard touchdown run of his own to cut the lead to 14-6. After that, Horsfall found Passafiumi for a 63-yard touchdown pass to restore that Eagles lead to 21-6. Normandy committed another turnover, and that led to a 6-yard touchdown run by Matthew Chalkwater, and the Eagles led 28-6. Elijah Gray followed that up with an 8-yard touchdown run to cut the lead to 28-13, but the Invaders could get no closer, and North Olmsted gets their first win of the season by a count of 28-13 for North Olmsted. Tommy Horsfall passed for 2 touchdowns, both to Michael Passafiumi and he also rushed for another score. North Olmsted's Matthew Chalkwater rushed 16 times for 134 yards and a touchdown. And Normandy, all Parma, all world quarterback Elijah Gray, 32 carries, 197 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's an absolute beast, as we're used to seeing from Gray. North Olmsted gets their first win. They are 1-4 overall, 1-1 in the conference. Normandy falls to 2-3, and they are 1-1 in conference play. Last and certainly not least, Valley Forge took on Westlake, and this was all Valley Forge all night long. There were multiple touchdown runs by Evan Tappy, and quarterback Lucas Schillinger rushed and passed for touchdowns. Tappy had a 70-yard rushing touchdown. He caught a 34-yard touchdown pass from Schillinger. Schillinger had a 15-yard touchdown run. He had 2 touchdown passes. Cam Wadsworth had a 38-yard touchdown run for Valley Forge, and Jeremy Keeger had a 54-yard touchdown run. Valley Forge rushed for over 500 yards, and they amassed over 600 yards of total offense over Westlake. They really had that triple option going something fierce there. For Westlake, Sam Brucieri completed 2 touchdown passes to Dom Napoli. Those covered 60 and 45 yards. Then Charbel Rita completed a touchdown pass to Chris Campbell for 40 yards, and then Weston Urich, he completed an 8-yard touchdown pass to Chris Campbell. But that was not nearly enough for the Demons. 55-28, the Patriots get the win over the Demons. Valley Forge is 2-3 overall, 1-1 in conference play. Westlake drops to 2-3 overall. They are 0-2 in conference play. The CWC Player of the Week is North Olmsted quarterback Tommy Horsfall. His 2 touchdown passes and one touchdown run to help lead the Eagles to their first victory of the season over the Normandy Invaders. All right, week 6 in the Cleveland West Conference. Got some good games coming up here. Westlake is going to travel to Bay, a battle of 2-3 and 0-2 teams there. The record may be deceiving, but that's going to be a really good game. Valley Forge is going to travel to Buckeye. Valley Forge upset Buckeye last year, so Buckeye's looking to get some revenge there. Lakewood travels to North Olmsted. We'll see if Avery Holt and Jalen Chappell can continue their connection against a very tough North Olmsted defense. And then Rocky River is going to travel to Byersfield to take on Normandy. It'll be Ryan Taylor against Elijah Gray there. 2 great quarterbacks. That's going to be a heck of a battle in the CWC. That's all we got for the Cleveland West Conference. When we get, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll see if we have Cole Norris on the air. And if we don't, for one reason or another, we will shift. We'll shift right to our Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance Player of the Week poll, and then we'll talk about where we are going next this coming week for Week 6. All right, stay tuned for more word from our sponsors, and we will be right back.
Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com.
And welcome back to the Sports on Tap High School Football Recap Show presented by Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance out of beautiful Hudson, Ohio. Make sure you give Ray a call for a quote on your home, auto, life insurance needs. And we want to thank him and, of course, the rest of our sponsors as well. Stick around for a word from our sponsors after the show as well. All right, we are joined. We just went through our Week 5 recaps from our respective conferences, and now we are joined by a record-setting quarterback who did put some serious work in along with the rest of his teammates. This quarterback threw for almost 350 yards. He rushed for almost another 100 yards, and he had his hand in 6 touchdowns in an absolute shootout against Berea Mid-Park. We are joined by quarterback Cole Norris from Amherst Steel. Cole, thanks for taking the time to join us tonight.
Thank you for having me on.
Hey, Cole. The last it seems like we've been hearing your name forever, and now that you're a senior, the start of your season could not have gone literally can't go any better. Undefeated. Let's talk about the most recent game. Berea Mid-Park, a very good team. The record may not be where they want it to be, but that's a tough game. Let's talk about the Berea Mid-Park game from what you saw offensively and where you're able to succeed.
They're definitely a very good team, and the record doesn't show how good they are, but we broke down a lot of film during the week and saw a lot of places where we could attack them offensively, and we were able to take advantage of that. And our special teams came up big time with getting a fumble recovery on kickoff, which ended up leading to a touchdown. And then our defense had 2 interceptions, and 1 was a pick 6, so that really helps to get us where we got.
Whole game. Yeah, I mean, fantastic game last week, and when we privately have a group chat between all of us, and I think somebody was like, "Oh yeah, Amherst beat Berea Mid-Park, 60 or whatever it was, whatever the score was," and my first thought was, "Is this a basketball score?" Like it was the amount of points that were put up between both of your teams. But speaking as a quarterback, when you're kind of in that point scoring mode or zone, does it just feel like the game slows down a little bit for you? Like you're seeing things a little bit clearer, or was it just one of those things where it kind of just spiraled on itself and you were just like, "Hey man, I'll throw it across the middle. It just seems like everything's going to be a touchdown."
The game definitely slows down a little bit, but it was a spiral, We're all feeling ourselves, and the O-line's feeling it. Wide receivers are catching everything. They're blocking great for everything, so it just kind of spirals through.
Well, I would imagine you're feeling it. I mean, 300 some odd yards of passing and, rushing the ball 100 yards and having your hand in 6 touchdowns. You had to be a little bit tired after that performance on Friday night.
Definitely. It was a little tiring, but I'm used to running a lot more. But JR was able to get a lot going off, run game-wise, so it took a lot of load off of me. And then receivers were able to make a lot of yards after catch, which definitely helped out.
Cole, thank you for taking the time to join us. And it was great talking with you in that post-game interview back in week 2 for a big road win you guys had against Buckeye. I mean, you guys as an offense have, through the first 5 weeks, have just been putting up 36 points per game. That's unbelievable for you guys. But I really want to talk about how your offensive line, man. And that 4th down and 1 play against Buckeye, I could just feel like they really been helping you and a lot of these running backs and receivers help. And throughout the first 5 weeks, it feels like they've been helping you guys out, putting a lot of points every single week. Just kind of talk about how the offensive line has been really helping you guys out these first 5 weeks.
They're definitely a lot of people had a lot of questions about them because we graduated our whole line, so everyone on the line right now is all new, how they would mesh together and everything. And so far, they've done a great job. They've been huge with getting a great push up front. I've only been sacked twice, and one of those was my fault. So they've done a great job with pass protection and stuff. So it's really a blessing to have them all in front of me.
Yeah, and Cole, since Coach Thome has come to Amherst, I feel like it's been a pretty quick transition Amherst was struggling a little bit, and since he's come, they've really turned it around. What's been working with Coach Thome and you? I mean, it seems like you guys work really well together, and you're starting to really get in your sweet spot, whether you're passing. I mean, you don't see too many quarterbacks passing for almost 400 yards and then running, for another 100, and it seems like you've been doing that every game. I do the Southwestern Conference recaps, and, I have to pick a player of the week. And realistically, I could pick you almost every week because you're scoring almost 6 touchdowns and putting up 500 yards of total offense every week. But, we try to spread it around here, but impressive numbers, and not to mention just individual numbers, but your Comets are undefeated, and really you're spreading the ball out, getting it to all these players. Talk a little bit about the offense clicking with Coach Thome and what he's meant to you this year.
He's definitely brought a mindset of not giving up on anything. So no matter the score of the game, no matter what happens, we're 100% effort every play, and that's been a big shift with everything. Against Buckeye, we had our All-Ohio receiver go down, Eli Solak, so he's out for the season. We had multiple receivers that have stepped up then, like Luke Schreiber. He had a huge game against Berea this last week. David stepped up. He's taken on a lot more responsibility offensively. Tristan's taking on a bunch of responsibility too. So just a bunch of people being able to step up and do what we have to do to get a win is huge.
We're talking with senior quarterback from Amherst Steel, Cole Norris, joining us tonight. Cole, you guys have been road warriors 4 out of the first 5 weeks, with only 1 home game. You wrap up with 3 out of the 5 next games at home. So I have to imagine it's gonna be pretty nice being able to play in front of your home fans. I'm sure Amherst travels pretty well, but I have to imagine you guys are pretty pumped up to get some home games on the schedule coming up here soon.
Definitely playing at home. We can't wait for this week. It's homecoming week against a big rival for us that we haven't won in 24 years. So we think we have a chance this year, and it should be a great one.
I couldn't agree with you more. This is going to be we've seen Rob covers the league, and he's seen that Avon Lake has been able to, they're a very resilient bunch as well, and that very well from playing against them. Without giving too much away from the game plan. I know you guys are really just starting to get into the work there with them. What are some of the things that Avon Lake does well that you guys are really meant to prepare for?
They're definitely well coached. They'll do their assignment. They're everywhere. They all swarm to the ball. Their special teams is really great. And offensively, they've had a lot of people step up with injuries that have gone down. So it's definitely going to be a 4-quarter battle between them.
Now, Cole, how tired are you after some of these games? I mean, when you're passing the ball for 400 yards and then you're running just as much. And I mean, there's been some games I've seen you run for, 20 times or, 15 times, something like that. I mean, how tired are you after a game like this? And I mean, you got to obviously be in pretty darn good shape. If you're running the ball, you're passing, you're all over the field. I mean, a lot of ice is probably needed on Saturdays, right?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of ice. Our trainer's great, so he's helped me a lot. But, just being able to, in the moment, you don't really think about being tired. So you just kind of keep grinding away and going off the energy of everyone else on the team.
It's probably a lot of off-season training, too, that helped out in the off-season.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, Rob and I and Ed, we're and Noah, but Noah's a young buck, kind of like yourself. But the majority of us on this show are 40-year-olds that think we're teenagers and remember what it was like, and now the thought of going 100 yards on the ground or throwing 100 yards makes me want to have to lay down and take a nap. And I know I could speak probably for Rob. He's 112 years old. And Ed, he was, Ed's probably, he's a natural athlete. I mean, let's be honest. But, it's just, it's insane when you look at these numbers. A question I wanted to ask you was, obviously you're a senior quarterback and you work on your craft. what's been the one thing that, or one or a couple things that you came into this season really wanting to focus on from a quarterback standpoint? Was it mechanics? Was it, leadership? What were some of the things you and Coach Thome spoke about in the offseason coming into this particular season?
Definitely leadership, taking on all the new kids that are coming up. We have a big senior class, so we're graduating a lot. So as much as we care about this season, also preparing all the kids that have to step up next season to be able to do the job, and the underclassmen that have stepped up and have to take a role into varsity, helping them out. And then the big off-season work was really working on being more of like a dual threat quarterback and running the ball, putting on weight, getting a lot faster, and seeing the field a lot better.
Cole, you're an all-state punter last year. Is that something you still take seriously? I know that's not something you really want to do. That's not part of the game you really want to accentuate. But does Coach Thome still have you doing that, or have you ceded that to maybe a soccer player?
No, I'm still punting this year. Gotten a little bit better, but I can't complain.
Nice.
Well, as long as you're using the arm instead of the leg, I think that's a good situation for Amherst and the Comets. Um, Cole, do you play any other sports besides football?
I didn't. I've played basketball my freshman and sophomore year. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't play my junior year to focus on football stuff, but I think I'm gonna come back this year.
Oh man, I'm sure the basketball coach loves to hear that. Very good. Well, Cole, we know you got some preparations going on here for Avon Lake. So we'll let you get to it. We appreciate the time. Best of luck to you for the rest of the season, and we'll certainly see how check in with you and the rest of the Comets as the season progresses. Appreciate it, and have a great game, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cole.
Thanks, Cole.
That is Amherst senior quarterback Cole Norris. He was an All-Ohioan as a punter. He had a really good season as a junior at the quarterback side of things, and he is well on his way to surpassing those numbers he had from last year. I'm sure Coach Thome would prefer he gets All-Ohio as a quarterback and maybe not so much as a punter. But the way that the Amherst is rolling right now is it's completely everything's out there in front of them right now. And as we mentioned, as we talked about, during the Southwestern Conference recaps, they're going to be playing a very resilient team in Avon Lake. So this team, they don't know how to quit. They've come from behind the last few games and stung both Berea Mid Park and Midview. So we'll see if they can play from ahead and maybe force Amherst to come back, or can Amherst score and run and hide from them. And Coach Kostelnik is we know what Coach Kostelnik brings to the table as a coach for Avon Lake, and it's going to be a lot easier said than done. But this is, in my opinion, this is a measuring stick game for Amherst. One of the big three of the traditional powers of this conference, Avon Lake, Olmsted Falls, and Avon. And they are all left on the schedule. They have Avon Lake at home. They again go to Olmsted Falls, and then they get a game against Elyria, but then they go back on the road for Avon before wrapping up with North Ridgeville, which another tough schedule. So
yeah,
arguably four of the top teams in the conference are still all in front of Amherst right now, Rob.
Yeah, and when you look at how Amherst played Avon last year, they put up, I think, 28 points in the game last year. They hosted Avon, and it was a little bit closer of a game. I think it was 63-28, but it was a little bit closer than the score indicated. So I'm interested to see. Obviously, Avon's again strong this year, but so is Amherst. I mean, they've been playing really good football. Coach Thome, it's so impressive. What is he in his second season, and he's really turned that program around, really, in a quick amount of time, which I thought it would be more of a development. But Midview also with Coach Armstrong is doing the same thing, and you're seeing a quick turnaround there. So these guys are really getting the job done, and now all of a sudden the Southwestern Conference, like you said, every week is a meat grinder, other than, Avon right now is taking care of business, and we'll see if they can continue to do that the rest of the season. But for every other team, there's going to be some really great matchups to look forward to here.
I like the fact that
yeah.
I was just going to say, just to kind of piggyback off of that, Rob, I like the fact that when we asked him what he worked on this year, he mentioned leadership. And I think that's something that has got to ring true with Coach Thome as something that, you can really, that's something you do have to work on. Some people are blessed with it, and
right.
Some people have to work on it. And, to put that into his game now, you can really sense that, he's got that leadership quality. Amherst, I think Coach Thome, he's a great coach, and he is a great coach. And, he did it at Lakewood, and he did it, he's doing it now at Amherst. And if he could, make some noise here toward, as Ed said, they got what, four of the top, they had the top four teams in the Southwestern Conference, ahead of them. You obviously, from a defensive standpoint, you'd like to not be in a, basketball game every single week, because at a certain point you end up losing those type of games. But again, those teams are out there, so it's fun to watch and follow the Amherst Comets each week, because they're doing it differently. It seems like every week, but the main catalyst is Cole Norris, and that's something that's fun to watch. He's either doing it in the air like he did last week, or he's doing it on the ground, or he's involved in it. And when you have that kind of leadership and that kind of involvement, man, that's a special thing to watch in any sport, in any level of sports. So hats off to the Comets, man.
When Amherst right now is they are number 2 in the Division 2 Region 6 according to JewelIdol.com. They are trailing Avon just ahead of Highland, and they're going to get some good level 2 points from Buckeye. With that victory over Buckeyes, and going to serve them well. And then if North Olmsted can continue their winning ways, they're going to pick up some more points from wins from North Olmsted. Copley, they defeated Copley as well, so they're going to need some help from some of those the non-conference schedule. They're going to get some points from Buckeye. There's no doubt about that. And then, obviously, Midview and Berea and Mid Park. When you start playing, when you're playing the game with the conference teams, in a way, it kind of evens itself out a little bit. So those non-conference games are the ones that you really need to get. Spoiler alert, I was very clear about this, and it's not changing. Avon, they're number 1 in our Power 10. They ain't going anywhere unless someone beats them. It does not get any more clear than that. There's not anything that any other team can do to overtake them right now.
I would argue that even them getting beat would be not the only thing that remove them from that number 1 spot, but we'll see.
It depends. It depends. It will certainly depend on who beats them and what the circumstances are. There's no question about that. But right now, Avon is the creme de la creme of the Power 10 at the moment. You wish you could see some of these teams play each other more in the regular season, but I mean, it doesn't get much worse. For Avon, taking on a traditionally good St. Ignatius team, a traditionally good Glenville team, and a traditionally good Kent McKinley team. Unfortunately, they don't have a whole lot of wins between them. I mean, well, not too bad. They're not doing too bad, actually. But those are 3 powerhouses that they've defeated, and you can't take that away from them. So I'm looking forward to seeing how how this is going to turn out. This week, lots of points on the board, though. Amherst and Avon Lake for sure. Olmsted Falls and Avon, tons of points on the board there. Berea Mid Park and Midview. Berea Mid Park can get right back into the thick of things in Division 1, Region 1 with the victory over Midview. And Elyria, see if they can get a win. If they can scratch a win out in one of these last 5 games, they have a chance of making the playoffs in Division 1, Region 1. They're just going to need a little bit of help. All right, let's shift over to the Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance Player of the Week contest. Josh usually helps us out with this one. He's out on assignment, so we're going to go to Rob to share and go over the results. Rob.
Yeah, and we'll show you the results here as we had a decent amount of votes, 222 votes, over 2,500 views. And here it is, the winner of the Raymond Felton State Farm Player of the Week goes to Dylan Borla of Highland, 40.1% of the votes. Tommy Horsfall of North Olmsted with 23.4%. Nolan Good, the quarterback of Avon, 22.6%. And Marquise Do-It-All Davis, as Noah would say, from Cleveland Heights, he had 14% of the votes. So Dylan Borla with a great game by Highland over Talmadge. And the Highland Hornets faithful came out in droves and voted in this one and got him to 40.1%. So congratulations to Dylan. He'll get a Raymond Felton State Farm grab bag that we will be sending. Once we get our Player of the Week t-shirts, we will be sending that. He also gets a $20 gift card to Chipotle, a certificate, and a Player of the Week certificate and some other cool items in the bag there. So we'll be sending that to you eventually. Once we get the Player of the Week t-shirts in, which should be soon, we'll be sending all of our Player of the Week some grab bags. Courtesy of Raymond Felton State Farm, and Mako is going to be making the t-shirts. They're also going to be a sponsor on the show, so I want to thank them for all the apparel we wear, and they're making the Player of the Week shirts as well. And they do a great job, so if you're looking for any apparel, they do it for a lot of schools. Let's see, what else do they do? Spirit wear, they do it for a lot of businesses. They also do online websites. So you want to sell online, you can do it right there. So they do a lot of different things, and we'll have them eventually up on our website and on the video as well. So there it is, Dylan Borla of Highland, the Raymond Felton State Farm Player of the Week for Week 5.
Congratulations. We'll take another runner-up for the Cleveland West Conference for Tommy Horsfall there.
There you go.
But we'll see if we can't get someone on the board to win the competition here in the coming weeks. All right, that leaves us to now we're on to Week 6. We have a lot of the weather. The weather's been tremendous. It's actually supposed to be pretty nice for this week too. We got a little bit of rain coming in the early part of the week. By the end of this week, should be back to where we're used to seeing, maybe a little bit more fall-like, which we kind of like to see this time of year. So, where are we going to be for Week 6, and where are we going to be broadcasting from? Where those Twitter updates /X at SOT podcast are going to be so important.
No, do you want to start us off?
Sure thing, Rob. Well, after taking last week off, guys, due to the fact that I was 21, and yes, Sean, I am legal so far.
Folks, he's legal.
And he's raring to go.
It is going to be great to be back on the sidelines with all you guys. And the last time I was at this stadium, I was getting drenched in the poncho, rained on, like all of you guys, back in Week 3. And that's where I'm going to be heading back. I'm going to be heading back to Packatan Stadium in Strongsville to see the 2-3 Cleveland Heights Tigers, who were coming off of a 7-point loss against Manor, looking to bounce back with Marquise Davis back in the starting lineup due to the fact that he was injured the first couple weeks of the season, taking on the Strongsville Mustangs, who had an impressive shutout win on the road against UConn. See if they could take the next step going up against Marquise Davis and the Cleveland Heights Tigers. So that's where I'll be. 2-3 Cleveland Heights against 2-3 Strongsville.
Very nice. All right, and I will be in Amherst. Our guest Cole Norris. I didn't want to spoil it and let him not focus on preparing for Avon Lake, but I will be headed to Amherst, where Avon Lake will go on the road and try to spoil the Comets' homecoming. And the Comets right now at 5-0, Avon Lake 3-2, and Avon Lake's on a little bit of a hot streak, coming back in both games. They're a tough team, and they've played really well this season. I think they're starting to get some players back that have been injured. We'll see on that. But I think this could be a really good game. So I will be traveling to Amherst as Amherst hosts the Avon Lake Shoremen. And I know Josh, he's not here, but he also will be covering a game. And Ed, I believe it's in your Cleveland West Conference.
Yes, sir. He will be going to Bay Village to see Westlake take on the Bay. Both teams are 2-3 overall, both searching for their first conference win. So we'll see the combination of senior quarterback Michael Farrell and junior running back Rocco Hereditario and Charlie Rogers. They're going to be taking on the combination of Sam Brucieri and Chris Campbell for Westlake on the offensive end there. So that's on paper. You're looking at the records. You may not think, is that game of the week? Is that game of the week material? The answer is yes, absolutely it is. These two teams are they're pretty close in proximity, and there's points on the line here. From here on out, every game is important. Doesn't matter what the records are. This could be you win a game here. It could be the catalyst for future wins in the conference. The Cleveland West Conference is pretty wide open. I would say. I will say that Rocky River and Buckeye are probably going to end up separating themselves a little bit here. But I said that last year about Buckeye, and Valley Forge upset them, and that's what's going on this week between Valley Forge and Buckeye. So I'll be more than willing to eat crow like I did last year. That game, but this is gonna be a really good game. Bay runs a pretty traditional spread rushing offense. Hereditario broke out last year as a sophomore, and he's continued that as a junior. Michael Farrell is just a steady quarterback, a steady presence. Just a really good player for Ron Rutt. For Westlake, Coach Logan Yantek, his first year at the helm, but he's been the offensive coordinator the last few years. Sam Brucieri, as Westlake goes as Sam Brucieri goes. Things got away from him last week a little bit from against Valley Forge. But the good thing is these games only count as one loss. They don't count as multiple losses. And Westlake and Bay, a lot of good football to be played here this coming Friday. So Josh is going to be taking on, going to be dabbling in the CWC. So just to recap, Josh will be at Westlake versus Bay. That game will be at Bay. Noah is going to be at Stronsville to see Cleveland Heights take on Stronsville, and Rob is going to be at Amherst to see Avon Lake take on Amherst. So as we get progressively closer to the end of the season, we will be spending more time on computer points and potential playoff matchups, and really what needs to happen for your favorite team in our conference, in your coverage area. If they need to win, if they need help, if they need teams to lose, we will get into all of that in the coming weeks. I would say probably roughly week 8, maybe week 9-ish would be when we'll start to focus on that. But we got a lot more. There's a lot more great student athletes to interview here, and we want to make sure we highlight those student athletes along with their programs. All right, that's going to do it for the show. We appreciate you listening to us. This has been the Week 5 high school football recap show brought to you by Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance, again out of beautiful Hudson, Ohio. The Week 5 Power 10 will be out no later than Wednesday. My hope, I will most likely get it to the powers that be to make it pretty for public consumption here. But that will be coming out on our social media outlets later this week. And then, of course, we will be back on the sidelines. Make sure you follow us on Twitter /X at SOT Podcast to get the live updates for the 3 games I just mentioned. And, of course, we'll be back here next Monday night live on our YouTube channel, Sports on Tap. Make sure you follow us on you listen to us on Spotify. Hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube. Get the notifications when we're about to go onto the air. We are on Twitter /X at SOT Podcast. We're on Threads at SOT_podcast. Facebook at Sports on Tap. Of course, our website is sportsontappodcast.com. And any pronunciation, stats, corrections, or slander towards Sean, make sure you to sportsontappodcast@gmail.com. For Rob Troutman, Noah Jacobson, Sean Duffy, and Josh Jeffy, my name is Ed Dick. You're watching Sports on Tap, and we'll see you on the other side.
Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com.